In the heart of New York City, where every dream feels just one connection away, Sophia is chasing hers with everything she's got. A passionate event planner working at a boutique agency, she lives for the sparkle of a perfectly executed gala. But behind the lights, her world is dimmed by mounting debt, ruthless competition, and the quiet fear that she'll never quite measure up. Then she meets Liam, soft-spoken, observant, kind. A man who listens more than he talks and always seems to show up when she needs a friend most. But what Sophia doesn't know is that Liam is hiding something big. He's not just a thoughtful stranger. He's the CEO of one of the city's most powerful hotel empires. As jealousy brews and sabotage strikes from within her own team, Sophia's professional life begins to unravel. But someone, unseen, unnamed, keeps pulling her back from the edge. Each near downfall is mysteriously intercepted. Each moment of despair met with just the right kind of hope. Who is really standing in her corner? And what happens when the truth behind all those silent promises finally comes to light? If you believe in stories where loyalty is louder than words, and love grows not through grand gestures, but quiet sacrifice, this is one you won't want to miss. Subscribe now to follow Sophia's journey through ambition, betrayal, and a love that hides in plain sight. Sophia Perez stood at the edge of the grand ballroom in Midtown Manhattan, clipboard in hand, heart thudding against her ribs like the bass line from the DJ she had just given a 5-minute cue. Strings of crystal lights glittered above the marble floors, and soft jazz drifted through the air. The event, an elite charity gala benefiting urban arts programs, was her first major solo project for Elon Events. It had to go flawlessly. She inhaled deeply and glanced at her reflection in one of the ornate mirrors. Her navy jumpsuit looked sharp, her signature red lipstick held, and her hair was swept into a sleek twist that said professional, even if her insides screamed panic. Then her phone buzzed. Claire. Centerpieces in VIP section are missing. Again. Fix it. Sophia's stomach dropped. She rushed across the room, weaving between servers and early guests. Sure enough, 2 tables, right where the event's biggest donors would be seated, were centerpiece free. She spun around, scanning for a solution. Need help? The voice was calm, warm, almost amused. She turned and found a man holding a wrapped bouquet of white peonies and eucalyptus. Tall, with kind eyes and an easy stance, he looked more like someone stopping by on accident than a guest at a high society event. Yes, she said, surprised by her own honesty. Do you mind if I ask where you got those? Front concierge was handing them out to donors. Sophia blinked. Can I borrow them? He smiled, handing the bouquet over without hesitation. All yours. I wasn't sure what to do with them anyway. Grabbing 2 empty vases from a side table, she quickly split the bouquet, arranging the flowers with a grace that belied the stress churning inside her. The man watched quietly, his eyes following her swift movements. You're good at this, he said. Faking calm under pressure? She asked, tying a final ribbon. No, making chaos look like elegance. Sophia laughed, the sound easing something tight in her chest. Thanks. I'm Sophia, by the way. Liam, he said, extending a hand. As they shook, a flicker of something passed between them. Not flirtation exactly, but recognition. Like 2 people who knew how it felt to hold everything together while quietly unraveling. So, she asked, are you here as a guest or just a flower delivery hero? Guest. I was invited through a mutual contact, still learning how these things work. Sophia tilted her head. You don't look like someone new to this world. He chuckled. I've been around it, but I prefer the corners to the spotlight. A call came through her earpiece, audio glitch during the keynote video. Her eyes flared for a split second, but she smiled through it. Duty calls, she said. Liam gestured toward the ballroom. Go save the night. She nodded, but before she stepped away, she turned back. Thanks again, Liam. You didn't have to help. His voice was quiet, sincere. I wanted to. By the time the gala ended, the guests were raving, the client was thrilled, and Sophia, though exhausted, felt a rare sense of peace. Her boss had offered a brief, half-hearted, nice recovery, and Claire had disappeared without another word. Sophia stood outside the venue, waiting for her rideshare. The city lights buzzed overhead, casting gold against the wet pavement. Then a voice broke the quiet. Hey, event savior. She turned. Liam stood there with 2 paper cups. Chamomile tea, he said. You look like someone who could use one. She accepted it with a smile that reached her eyes. You really know how to show up at the right time. I just like seeing people do what they love, he replied. As they sipped in the hush of the night, neither spoke of what came next, but something had begun, small, quiet, and sincere. Neither of them knew it yet, but this night would be the beginning of something far more powerful than either had planned. Monday morning arrived with gray skies and the kind of drizzle that seemed to seep into everything. Inside the Elan Events office on 21st Street, the mood was anything but light. Sophia sat at her desk reviewing feedback from the weekend's gala, trying not to glance over at Claire's corner. Claire had arrived in a swirl of designer fragrance and barely veiled smugness, dropping her Louis Vuitton tote with more force than necessary. Lovely save on the floral disaster, Claire said, her voice carrying just enough sarcasm to sound sweet. Shame about the table placement. Guests from Donahue Media were practically seated next to the kitchen. Sophia stiffened. Actually, the client specifically requested a quieter space for them. Claire arched a brow. Right. Well, I suppose we all make our choices. Sophia turned back to her screen, unwilling to give her the satisfaction. But something about Claire's tone dug deeper than usual today. And then it came. A notification from the team chat thread. Subject: Feedback from Donahue Gala. Client raised concerns about outdated presentation concept and underwhelming guest flow. Needs improvement. Sophia stared at the message, confused. That wasn't what the client had told her on site. In fact, the lead coordinator had thanked her personally. She opened the attached feedback form. The language sounded eerily rehearsed, and strangely similar to the phrasing Claire had used in past review notes. A sinking feeling stirred in her gut. Claire had been with Elan longer. She had the boss's ear, a polished portfolio, and a knack for knowing exactly when to smile and when to strike. Sophia knew she had talent, but when you were playing catch-up, perception could outweigh performance. Later that afternoon, Sophia met Liam at a cafe tucked between a flower shop and a dog grooming boutique in the West Village. He was already there, nursing a cappuccino and flipping through a local design magazine. You look like someone who needs a vent session, he said as she sat down. She gave a tired smile. That obvious? He nodded, not pushing. Sophia exhaled. I think Claire's trying to sabotage me. Liam's expression shifted ever so slightly. What happened? She explained the feedback email, the tension at the office, how her clients suddenly seemed hesitant. She's been planting seeds for a while now, telling people I'm inexperienced, that I lean too heavily on aesthetics without understanding logistics. Do you? He asked gently. Sophia laughed dryly. No, but she's good at twisting things. I can feel it. And the worst part? I can't prove any of it. Liam listened carefully, his brows furrowed with quiet concern. I'm not sure how much longer I can keep going like this, she admitted. I love this job, but I'm exhausted. It feels like I'm fighting to exist in a space I already earned. He leaned forward slightly. You shouldn't have to prove you belong every day just to feel worthy. Sophia blinked, surprised by the weight of his words. I've worked with people like Claire, Liam added, carefully omitting the how or where. They rely on power plays because they know you're better at what actually matters. Don't let her drag you down." A small silence settled between them. "Why are you always this good at knowing what to say?" she asked. Liam smiled faintly. "Because I know what it's like to have someone try to dim your light." Sophia reached for her drink, nodding slowly. "Well, thanks for reminding me I'm not crazy." "You're not," he said. "You're just standing in the way of someone else's ego." She laughed at that, the tension in her shoulders easing just a bit. What she didn't see was the flicker in Liam's eyes, the kind that came from recognizing a storm before it hit. He'd seen ambition get ugly, but he wasn't going to let Sophia face it alone. He wouldn't interfere directly. The following week brought an unexpected email to Sophia's inbox. Subject line: Private Client Inquiry. Immediate booking request. The message was from a personal assistant representing a well-known tech entrepreneur, someone Sophia had only dreamed of working with. They were planning an intimate wedding in the Hamptons and had reviewed her past work. The tone was professional, warm, and clear. They wanted her. Not Elon. Just her. Sophia reread the email 3 times before picking up the phone to confirm. Her voice wavered only slightly as she scheduled a consultation call. It was real. A high-profile wedding. A career-defining moment. Her hands trembled as she set the phone down. Claire must have heard about it by the next morning. She passed Sophia's desk with a brittle smile and a casual, "Interesting client you've landed. Hope you can handle that kind of pressure." Sophia didn't answer. She was too focused on spreadsheets, vendor quotes, and scouring Pinterest for the bride's quiet luxury theme. What Sophia didn't know was that the client hadn't found her by accident. Liam, having quietly watched Claire's campaign of sabotage unfold, had stepped in. Through a discreet connection in his hotel network, he had arranged for Sophia's name to reach the right ears. He never asked for credit, never even mentioned it. But he'd seen too many good people get overlooked by louder, flashier voices. And Sophia wasn't just good, she was exceptional. He was just giving the world a chance to notice. By the time the wedding took place in East Hampton, Sophia had crafted an event so elegant it drew praise from guests long before dessert was served. The florals were lush but tasteful, the lighting romantic but functional, and the transitions between ceremony and reception seamless. Word traveled fast. By Sunday, photos were already making the rounds in New York's high society circles, Sophia's name attached to every caption. At the wrap-up brunch, the bride pulled her aside. "You have a gift, Sophia. I didn't feel like a client. I felt seen. That's rare in this industry." Sophia blinked back the unexpected emotion. "Thank you. That means a lot." Later, as she loaded leftover arrangements into her car, her phone buzzed. "Liam, saw the photos. You crushed it. Proud of you." She smiled at the screen, then typed back, "Couldn't have done it without your pep talks." And it was true. His belief in her, even if unspoken most of the time, had been a quiet drumbeat keeping her grounded. Meanwhile, Claire sat in the Aylin office scrolling through social media posts from the Hamptons event. Her jaw tightened. No matter how hard she tried to discredit Sophia, she always seemed to rebound. Stronger, more visible. It didn't make sense. Unless... She narrowed her eyes, revisiting Liam's name in her mind. He was always there, always just close enough to support, but far enough to go unnoticed. Claire tapped her pen thoughtfully against her tablet. Something didn't add up. She opened a new tab and began typing. Liam, New York, hospitality industry. It was time to do a little digging. That evening, Sophia and Liam met for dinner at a quiet Italian spot in Soho, the kind with string lights and handwritten menus. "You were glowing in those photos," Liam said as their appetizers arrived. "I was terrified the entire weekend," she laughed. "But also, weirdly calm, like I knew I could pull it off. You could. You did. She studied him for a moment. You always show up like this, don't you? For people. He smiled. Not for everyone. She leaned back in her chair. Well, I hope whoever you're always showing up for knows how lucky they are. He didn't respond right away, just raised his glass. To beginnings. Sophia clinked her glass to his. Neither of them noticed the shadow cast by the nearby window or the figure who passed by the restaurant, pausing just long enough to take a photo through the glass. Claire had her first clue, and she wasn't going to waste it. Thursday morning at Elan Events began with the usual swirl of espresso shots and clacking heels. Sophia sat at her desk reviewing final logistics for the firm's biggest corporate account, a tech conference for a Fortune 100 client that would fill the ballroom at the Glasswell Hotel. It was the kind of event Claire would have killed to lead, and now that Sophia had been assigned point planner, the tension in the office had shifted into something sharper, colder. At 9:42 a.m., her email pinged. Subject: urgent, vendor confirmation failure. Sophia frowned. The catering team, one she'd worked with for months, was backing out. So was the lighting crew, and then the AV team. Within minutes, her event plan had gone from airtight to unraveling. She immediately dialed the vendor manager. Mason, what's going on? Why are all my vendors pulling out? There was a long pause. We were told your event had been postponed. We assumed you didn't need the bookings anymore. Told by who? I can't say. The message came from someone at your office, used internal contact forms. Sophia's heart sank. Claire. There was no hard proof, just a trail of burned bridges and bad timing, but Sophia could feel it in her bones. The timing, the precision, the way Claire had smiled at her that morning like she already knew what was coming. Still, Sophia had less than 36 hours before the event. She didn't have time to point fingers. She needed to fix it. She stayed late into the night, emailing backup vendors, cold calling freelancers, and pulling every contact she could. Her fingers ached and her eyes stung. She worked through dinner, through fatigue, and through the rising panic that this time she might not pull it off. Then, just after midnight, her phone rang. Don't hang up, Liam's voice came, warm and calm. I saw the vendor cancellations. Cam from my logistics team flagged it when the AV crew we work with called to confirm something strange. What do you need? Sophia was too tired to play tough. Everything. I need lighting, catering, and an AV team that won't ghost me. Liam didn't hesitate. I'll take care of it. Liam? How? It's a high-profile event at one of the busiest venues in the city. We're down to the wire. You said you wanted a miracle, right? She exhaled shakily. This might be asking too much. I've got more strings than most, he said. Let me pull a few. The next morning, Sophia walked into the Glasswell ballroom and froze. Her replacement vendors were not only present, they were already setting up, coordinated, and on schedule. High-end linens, ambient lighting, gourmet catering, everything. It was like someone had snapped their fingers and restored the event to perfection. Liam hadn't just helped. He'd saved her. Hey! A familiar voice said behind her. She turned to find him standing near the side entrance, coffee in hand. You didn't have to come, she said. Didn't want to miss your moment, he replied, offering the coffee. She took it with trembling fingers. You really came through for me. You did the heavy lifting. I just provided the scaffolding. She smiled weakly, then bit her lip. Liam, how did you get these vendors to agree on such short notice? He shrugged. Let's just say they owed me favors. She studied him, more curious than ever. You always seem to know the right people. He met her eyes, the flicker of something deeper hiding in plain sight. Maybe I just care about the right ones. What neither of them saw was Claire, tucked behind the ballroom's secondary entrance watching it all unfold. She recognized the AV company, the catering firm, the lighting crew, and one name connected them all: Sterling Hotels. Her eyes narrowed. Liam wasn't just a helpful bystander. He was someone powerful, someone who didn't belong in Sophia's world, yet had woven himself into it anyway. Claire stepped back, a plan already forming. This wouldn't end in whispers. It would end in exposure. By Monday morning, the Glasswell event was being hailed as one of Elan's most successful corporate galas of the season. The client sent glowing feedback, praising Sophia by name, and even offered to sign a multi-year contract. Sophia should have been riding high, but the atmosphere inside the office felt different, colder. Her boss, Marlene, gave her a thin smile during the morning check-in. "Well done on the Glasswell account," she said, "though I was surprised to hear so many last-minute changes. Claire said she stepped in to help coordinate." Sophia blinked. Claire? She wasn't involved. Marlene didn't respond, just sipped her coffee and moved on to the next topic. Sophia's stomach turned. Later, when she logged into her client portal, she noticed something strange. A number of her active clients had been reassigned or flagged for follow-up by Claire. Her access was limited. Emails had been forwarded without her knowledge. When she approached Marlene, she got only a clipped response. "Claire's building synergy across departments, just a temporary restructure." But it wasn't temporary. It was targeted. Claire was pulling her clients one by one, undermining her in plain sight. Sophia sat at her desk, staring at her screen, pulse pounding. How do you fight someone who wears sabotage like perfume? Subtle, lingering, and always just outside of provable. That evening, Liam met her at a tucked-away wine bar in Tribeca. Sophia looked more tired than he'd ever seen her. Shoulders slumped, mascara smudged at the corners, her glass of Syrah untouched. "I think I'm losing my job," she said quietly. Liam froze. "What happened?" "Claire's chipping away at my role," she explained. "She's rerouting my clients, undermining my events, twisting everything I do into a reason to question my value." She looked up at him, eyes raw. "I'm good at what I do, Liam, but I'm not bulletproof, and I'm not backed by privilege or legacy or charm. I just work, and people like Claire, they make you feel like that'll never be enough." Liam reached across the table, gently covering her hand with his. "You are enough," he said. "You always have been." Sophia bit the inside of her cheek, holding back tears. "Why do you care this much?" she whispered. "Why me?" He hesitated, then, slowly, "Because you remind me of everything that's real, and too many people spend their lives pretending." There was a pause, an unspoken question in her eyes. But she let it go, for now. Later that night, Liam called Cam, his longtime assistant and fixer. "I need to set up something for Sophia," he said, quietly, "something that gives her more than Elan ever will. What do you have in mind?" "There's an event summit next month, the Northeastern Planning Collective. Invite only. If we fund an anonymous scholarship, I can get her on the list." Cam paused. "And you're sure she won't suspect?" "I don't care if she does," Liam said. "She needs to know what she's capable of outside the toxic orbit she's stuck in." "Got it," Cam said. "I'll take care of it." The next morning, Sophia got an email she wasn't expecting. Subject: Congratulations. 2024 NPC Summit. Scholarship recipient, she stared at the screen in disbelief. The summit was elite, expensive, and impossible to get into without connections. She hadn't even applied. Still, her name was there. The message simply read, "Your work has inspired a private donor. We believe your voice deserves a bigger room." Sophia pressed a hand to her mouth. For the first time in weeks, she smiled. A real one. Across the office, Claire noticed the shift in Sophia's energy, the bounce in her step, the fire returning to her eyes. And Claire knew something had slipped. She couldn't prove it yet. But someone powerful was propping Sophia up. And that was a threat Claire couldn't ignore. Sophia zipped up her duffel bag and took one last look at the skyline from her apartment window. The Northeastern Planning Collective Summit was being held in Boston, a 3-day whirlwind of workshops, panel discussions, and networking events for the top creative minds in event planning. It was prestigious, it was exclusive, and until a week ago, she'd never dreamed of being invited. And somehow, she was going. The scholarship email had arrived like a lightning bolt. No name, no sender, just a promise. Someone believed in her work. And even though she couldn't prove it, part of her gut whispered the same name over and over, Liam. He'd been there at every critical moment, always helping just enough, never asking for anything in return. He was kind, intuitive, and somehow always knew exactly what she needed before she said it out loud. But how and why? The summit was electric. Held in a renovated Art Deco hotel downtown, it overflowed with design boards, staging mock-ups, and a sea of brilliant professionals exchanging ideas over cocktails and colored lanyards. But amidst the excitement, Sophia felt a quiet ache. She wanted to share it with someone. So she called him. "Hey," Liam answered, a soft smile in his voice. "I know this is weird," she said, sitting on a bench outside the evening keynote, "but I just wanted to say thank you." Liam paused. "For what?" "For always being in my corner, even when I don't know how you manage it." He didn't reply immediately. Then, "You deserve every room you walk into, Sophia. I just make sure the door stays open." Her heart fluttered. "Do you want to grab a late dinner when I'm back?" "I'd like that," he said. "Very much." 2 nights later, they met at a rooftop bistro on the Lower East Side. Rain had cleared the sky, leaving behind a crisp breeze and scattered stars. Sophia wore a soft gray coat and minimal makeup, her natural glow from the summit still lingering. Liam, in his usual understated way, wore jeans and a dark sweater, effortlessly blending in. They ordered wine and tapas, but the real feast was the conversation. "So," Sophia teased between bites, "what is it you actually do, Liam? You're a little too polished to be this mysterious forever." He smiled, but his eyes clouded slightly. "Consulting. Hospitality mostly. I help streamline operations." "Hotels?" "Among other things." She leaned in, playful but curious. "Are you secretly the CEO of something massive?" He laughed, then softened. "Would it change how you see me?" Sophia blinked, thrown off. No, but I'd want to know. I don't like being the only one showing their cards." He nodded. "That's fair." There was a pause, a space between honesty and hesitation. Then Liam looked down, quietly changing the subject. "You're different after the summit." "In a good way?" "In a whole way," he said. "Like someone who remembered who they are." Sophia stared at him for a long second. Then she looked away, emotion brimming behind her lashes. "Sometimes I forget." "You shouldn't." Their hands brushed on the table. She didn't pull away. But across town, Claire wasn't resting. In her apartment, she clicked through a half-dozen open tabs on her laptop. Articles, LinkedIn profiles, press releases. Slowly, a puzzle was forming. Liam Callahan, founder and CEO, Sterling Hotels. It couldn't be. But the photo, older, beard shorter, suit sharper, was unmistakably him. Her lips curled into a satisfied smirk. So that's how Sophia kept landing on her feet. Claire sat back in her chair. It was time to play her next move. And this time, the world wouldn't be whispering about Sophia. It would be watching her fall. Liam was wrapping up a late afternoon meeting in a quiet corner of the Sterling Midtown lobby when he got the text, unknown. Number, meet me. Rooftop, 6 p.m. 40th and Mercer. Come alone. It's about Sophia. No name, no signature, but he didn't need one. Only one person could threaten him with so few words and make it sting. By 6:05, he was standing beneath the amber glow of string lights on the rooftop lounge, cold wind threading through his coat. The city buzzed beneath him, oblivious to the power games unfolding above. Claire stepped out from the shadows, arms crossed, a slow smile curling at her lips. "Well, well," she said. "The mysterious Mr. Callahan. Or should I say, Sterling Hotel's Crown Prince." Liam didn't move. "What do you want?" Claire strolled forward, phone in hand. "It's not what I want, Liam. It's about what you're risking. Sophia's entire rise, from client lists to anonymous scholarships to emergency vendors, all conveniently arranged. If word gets out that she's been playing house with a billionaire benefactor, you think the industry will still see her as self-made?" "She is self-made," he said flatly. "Everything I did was just to give her the space to prove it." Claire laughed. "That's noble, but the narrative won't be so kind." She tapped her screen, then turned it toward him. Dozens of photos. Liam entering the back of event venues, Sophia laughing with him over late dinners, a screenshot of a business article highlighting his role at Sterling. "You've been sloppy," she said. "You got emotionally involved. That's where men like you always trip." Liam folded his arms. "What do you want, Claire?" Her expression hardened. "You stop helping her. No more vendors, no secret favors, no anonymous gifts. You disappear. Or this goes to the press, your board, and every client you've ever had." Liam looked away for a moment, heart pounding. "And Sophia?" he asked. "What happens to her? She goes back to where she belongs. Mid-tier bookings, canceled clients, fading relevance. She won't recover, not if people think her success came on your dollar. You want to ruin her just to win?" Claire's eyes flared. "I want what's mine, the spotlight, the control, and I'm done letting her steal it." Liam studied her, the wind lifting his coat as silence stretched between them. Then he spoke, his voice low and steady. "No." Claire blinked. "What?" "I won't stop helping her," he said. "If you want to go public, do it, but don't pretend it's about her. It's about you, and it always has been." She stepped closer, voice like ice. "Then I hope you're ready to burn with her." That night, Liam sat in his penthouse apartment overlooking the city, lights flickering like fragile truths waiting to shatter. He stared at his phone, at the thread with Sophia. He wanted to warn her. But how do you protect someone from a storm they don't know is coming, without confessing you helped build the shelter? Across the city, Sophia was finalizing floral mock-ups for a spring fundraiser when her phone buzzed. "Liam. I need to talk. Tomorrow? Somewhere quiet." She stared at the screen, her stomach fluttering. There was something different in his tone. No emojis, no warmth, just weight. She typed back. "Sure. Let me know where." As she set the phone down, she glanced at her calendar. The fundraiser was in 2 weeks, a career-defining opportunity. For once, everything seemed steady. She had no idea it was about to fall apart. In her apartment, Claire poured herself a glass of wine, her laptop open to a new folder titled Callahan Expose. The files were ready, the timing was perfect. All she needed was one final move, and this time it would be checkmate. Sophia's morning began with a strange stillness. Her inbox was unusually quiet. No new vendor requests, no follow-ups from the fundraising committee. Even Claire, who usually found a way to passive-aggressively comment on Sophia's color palettes by 9 a.m., was nowhere in sight. She took a sip of coffee and opened her event file for the upcoming charity gala. But just as she clicked into the client folder, a ping echoed from her computer. Subject: Fundraising Committee. Suspicion of financial irregularities. Sophia's heart skipped. She clicked. The email was terse, formal. Someone had submitted documents claiming she'd redirected budget funds into a personal account. It included forged spreadsheets and an internal email trail, fabricated but painfully convincing. Her fingers went cold. Then a second email came in, this time from Marlene, her boss. Please come to my office immediately. Bring your laptop. Sophia could barely breathe. 10 minutes later, she sat across from Marlene, hands trembling. This is serious, Sophia, Marlene said, folding her arms. The financial team flagged these documents this morning. They came from your shared drive. I didn't do this, Sophia said, voice shaking. Those documents are fake. I've never touched client money. I wouldn't even know how. Marlene's expression softened, but only slightly. We're not accusing you, but we have to take this seriously. Effective immediately. We're placing you on temporary suspension pending investigation. The word hit like a slap. Suspension? I'm sorry. I don't have a choice. Sophia left the office numb, her world unraveling in the span of an hour. She knew who was behind it, Claire, but she had no proof, just gut instinct, and gut wasn't admissible. She walked aimlessly for blocks, the sharp wind scraping her cheeks. Her phone buzzed in her coat pocket. Liam. Hey, are we still meeting today? Everything okay? Sophia stared at the message, her heart aching. She typed, then deleted, then typed again. Not a good time. I need space. She didn't have the strength to explain, not yet. Liam stood alone in the quiet corner of the cafe they'd agreed on, 2 coffees growing cold on the table. He checked his phone again, then again. Nothing. The worry that had gnawed at him all week bloomed into dread. Something had happened. He pulled up Cam's number. I need you to check on Sophia's company. Something's off. Quietly. Please? Meanwhile, Sophia curled into the corner of her couch, still in her coat, scrolling through the forged documents for the 10th time. Whoever did this knew how to bury a lie in just enough truth to make it believable. And worst of all, she felt utterly alone. Until a small knock echoed at her door. She hesitated, then opened it. Liam stood there, rain dotting his coat, eyes full of concern. I heard, he said gently. She blinked, stunned. How? I have contacts. She stepped back, letting him in without a word. I didn't do it, she whispered. I know, he said without hesitation, and I'm going to prove it. Something in his certainty broke her. Her breath caught. But then the weight returned. He always knew things before she told him, always had the right solution, the right connection, the right timing. How do you always show up like this? She asked, backing away slowly. How do you know everything before I even speak it? Liam froze. Sophia, there's something I haven't told you. Her expression shifted. What are you hiding? He stepped forward, hesitant. I wanted to tell you. I tried. What is it? He swallowed hard. I'm not just some guy who works in hospitality. I own Sterling Hotels. Her face fell. I've been helping from behind the scenes. The scholarship, the vendors, the summit. She stared at him, expression unreadable. You lied to me, she said quietly. I didn't lie, you hid everything. Tears welled in her eyes. I thought you were the one person who didn't have an angle. Liam stepped forward. I did it to protect you. Then why do I feel betrayed? She turned away, voice breaking. Please go. He hesitated, then left without another word. Behind her, the city pulsed on. But inside her chest, everything had gone still. Liam stood at the floor-to-ceiling window of his home office, watching the city blink beneath a heavy gray sky. The moment Sophia asked him to leave, something inside him cracked, but it was what she said last that haunted him most. I thought you were the one person who didn't have an angle. He hadn't slept. And now, the only way to earn her trust again was to clear her name, completely, indisputably. He turned to his desk where Cam had already spread out printed spreadsheets, email logs, and access reports from Elon's internal systems. Cam tapped a red highlighted file. These were the forged documents Claire used to frame Sophia. They were uploaded under Sophia's login, but the metadata's a mess. No geolocation data, no session token. It screams manual insertion. Liam leaned in. So, they were planted. Cam nodded. Yeah. And the upload path shows the files were transferred from an external flash drive, not her account. Liam straightened. Can we trace it? I already did. IT logs show that the USB was used on Claire's computer 2 days before the files were time-stamped on Sophia's profile. A surge of relief swelled in Liam's chest, but it was quickly replaced by a sharper urgency. Then we have what we need. Cam hesitated. We do, but this won't fix the damage overnight. Her suspension, the rumors, the trust. I don't care how long it takes, Liam cut in. We bring this to Marlene, and we give Sophia a shot to walk in on her own terms. Cam nodded. I'll prep the email forensics and security logs. Liam placed a hand on his shoulder. And Cam? Thank you. Cam offered a rare smile. Just doing my job, boss. Meanwhile, across the city, Sophia sat in a sun-drenched corner of her favorite bookstore cafe, laptop closed, untouched latte cooling beside her. For the first time in weeks, her inbox was empty. Not from accomplishment, but absence. Her name was being whispered again, but not in admiration. She was the woman who rose too fast. The one who got help from the right man. She couldn't even bring herself to defend it, because deep down a voice she hated admitted, they might be right. Her phone buzzed. She ignored it, then it buzzed again. No number. You don't know me, but I used to work under Claire. I saw what she did to you. If you're ready to fight back, I have proof. Sophia blinked, heart thudding. She replied cautiously, Why now? A moment passed. Because I saw what she did to me and what she's doing to you. I'm done being afraid. Sophia read the message 3 times. Her pulse steadied. Her breath came easier. Maybe Liam wasn't her only unseen ally. At Elon's main office, Marlene stared at the folder Liam had laid before her. The proof was damning. Access logs, document trails, and a short video clip showing Claire transferring files to Sophia's user folder. Marlene looked up, pale. Why are you bringing this to me? Because I believe in Sophia, Liam said simply, and because I know what it's like to have people quietly root against you. Marlene closed the folder. We'll launch a formal inquiry immediately. This won't stay buried. Liam nodded, but didn't smile. He didn't want justice to come from him. He wanted it to come from her. Back at her apartment, Sophia opened her email and saw a new message. Subject: formal apology and full reinstatement. Her hands trembled. The message was from Marlene. The final line read, We now know who framed you. You're welcome to return. Your position is waiting. She exhaled, but the victory didn't feel like hers. Not yet. She had one more event to finish. On her own. No favors, no safety nets, just her work, her name, her worth. Across the city, Claire sat at her desk, phone buzzing with unread texts, her browser stuck on a loading screen. A knock echoed at her door. HR. She didn't move. It was over. But she wasn't ready to admit it, not yet. The night of the gala arrived with the kind of crisp spring energy that made the city feel alive again. Guests poured into the grand rotunda of the Crestmore Cultural Hall, glittering in cocktail dresses and tailored tuxedos. Velvet ropes lined the entrance, cameras flashed, and the scent of fresh florals drifted through the glass-paneled atrium. This was Sophia's night. Her first event since returning from suspension. Her name was on the program, her design stamped across every detail, from the towering blush and cream centerpieces to the soft jazz trio playing near the fountain. And, for once, she stood confidently at the back of the room, not scrambling, not apologizing. Just present, calm, reclaiming her space. Until Claire showed up. Sophia's breath caught as she spotted her former colleague gliding past the champagne station like nothing had happened. No name tag, no guest list check-in, just entitlement and the familiar glint of sabotage in her eyes. Claire walked directly to the mic at the foot of the small stage where a silent auction had just ended. People were still applauding. Sophia's instincts screamed. Claire's voice rang out before anyone could stop her. I just wanted to say a few words about tonight's event. Some of you may not know this, but our organizer, Sophia Perez, has a long history of professional misconduct. Gasps rippled through the room. Sophia froze, her mind spinning. Claire continued, pulling her phone from her clutch. There's been chatter about her recent reinstatement. I thought transparency was in order. But before she could tap her screen, another voice cut through the tension. Enough. Liam stepped forward from the side of the room, his presence sudden and commanding. All eyes turned. He walked up to the stage, nodding politely to the host who handed him the mic without hesitation. I'm Liam Callahan, he said, and before this gets any further, there's something you all deserve to know. Claire paled. I've remained behind the scenes for months, Liam said, but it's time for truth. He turned to the audience. Yes, I'm the CEO of Sterling Hotels. Yes, I've supported Sophia Perez's work quietly. Not because she needed a leg up, but because she deserved a level playing field in a system stacked against women like her, talented, principled, and underestimated. The room fell into stunned silence. I never paid for her success, he said. I gave her space to earn it. Then he turned to Claire. And as for the allegations, every document you planted to discredit her has been traced. Every login, every false invoice. We have digital records, witness statements, and internal security logs. Claire's mouth opened, closed. No words came. This woman, Liam gestured to Sophia, built her reputation from nothing. She faced jealousy, sabotage, and silence, and still delivered tonight's masterpiece. Murmurs of support swept through the crowd. Claire turned, shoulders stiff, and walked quickly through the exit. No one followed her. Sophia stood motionless, heart pounding, hands cold. Liam stepped off the stage and approached her slowly. I didn't mean for it to come out like that, he said. But I couldn't let her smear you again. She looked at him, emotions crashing over each other, shock, gratitude, and something heavier. You told everyone everything. I had to. I couldn't watch in silence anymore. She nodded slowly, voice soft. You did what I couldn't. No, he said. You created all of this. I just cleared the noise. Sophia blinked. Eyes damp but steady. For the first time in weeks, she didn't feel like she was surviving. She felt like she was seen. The crowd had long since faded, and the lights inside the Crestmore Cultural Hall dimmed to a soft glow, but Sophia hadn't moved. She stood alone near the stage, fingers trailing over the edge of the mic stand, her mind still replaying everything that had happened just an hour earlier. Claire's public ambush, Liam's reveal, and the truth, raw, undeniable, out in the open. Liam had stepped forward when no one else would. He had defended her with conviction, exposed the lies, and risked his reputation to shield hers. So why did her chest still feel so tight? She heard footsteps behind her. She didn't have to turn. "I wasn't sure if you'd still be here," Liam said gently. Sophia took a long breath before replying. "I wasn't sure either." He stood a few feet away, hands in his pockets, voice lower now. "I never wanted you to find out like that." She turned to face him. "But you knew eventually I would." He nodded. "Yes." There was a beat of silence. Then Sophia stepped forward. "Why didn't you tell me, Liam? Why not from the beginning?" He met her eyes, the weight in his voice unmistakable. "Because I've spent most of my life being treated like a bank account, a shortcut, a status symbol. And the night I met you, you didn't ask me for anything. You didn't even know who I was. You just wanted help with flowers and tried to save your event. And I liked that. I liked you." Sophia listened, expression soft but unreadable. "I thought if I told you who I really was, I'd lose that you'd stop trusting what was real between us. But instead, you built something between us on half-truths," she said quietly. "I know," he admitted, "and I'll regret that for a long time." Sophia's eyes glistened, though she didn't cry. It's hard to know what parts of it were real. Liam took a careful step forward. All of it was real. The late nights, the pep talks, the way I looked at you when I thought you weren't watching. I never did any of this to control you. I wanted to help, the way no one ever helped me. Sophia crossed her arms, her voice breaking slightly. "But I didn't want to be helped in secret. I wanted to deserve what I was building." "You did," he said, fierce now. "I didn't make you talented. I didn't give you your creativity, or your heart, or your fire. That was all you." "But you still didn't trust me enough to let me in," she said. "Not really," he nodded, eyes downcast. "You're right." Another pause. Then she stepped closer. "Do you still want to be in my life?" Liam looked up, something in him flickering. Hope, caution, reverence. "Yes," he said. Sophia exhaled slowly. "Then you'll have to earn that place, not with money, not with favors, but with honesty," he nodded. "I want that too." She looked at him for a long, quiet moment. Then she reached for his hand. Not an embrace, not a kiss, just a gesture. Simple, real, deliberate. "I'm not saying I forgive everything," she whispered. "I wouldn't expect you to," he replied. "But I'm saying," she added, "I'm not ready to let go either." A small smile broke across his face, not triumphant, relieved. As they stood together beneath the quiet glow of the chandeliers, their fingers intertwined, Sophia knew this wasn't the end of their conflict. It was the beginning of a new kind of truth. One they'd have to rebuild, moment by moment, together. The Monday after the gala, Sophia stepped into the Elan Events office with her head held high. She wore a simple black blazer over a pale lavender blouse, the kind of soft confidence that didn't need to shout. Conversations hushed as she passed, but she didn't flinch. This time, she wasn't walking in to prove anything. She'd already done that. Under the lights, under pressure, and under scrutiny. At Marlene's office door, Sophia knocked once, then entered. Marlene looked up from her laptop and stood. "Sophia, come in." Sophia nodded and took the seat across from her. "I just wanted to say thank you," Marlene began, "for the gala, for your professionalism, for holding your head high despite everything. Sophia gave a quiet smile. It was never about clearing my name, Marlene. It was about doing the job right. Marlene nodded slowly. I know. And I also know you've outgrown this place. Sophia blinked. What do you mean? You're exceptional, Sophia, but Claire isn't the first who's tried to dim your light, and she won't be the last. I want to keep you here, but you deserve more than ceilings and politics. Sophia's throat tightened. What are you saying? Marlene reached into her desk drawer and slid an envelope across the table. It's a partnership offer. A private investor, backed by a group in hospitality, has offered to help you launch your own boutique agency. Full creative control. No middlemen, no sabotage. Sophia opened the envelope and scanned the letter inside. Her hands trembled slightly as she read the proposal, the investor name clear at the bottom. Callahan Holdings. She swallowed. Marlene continued. He asked me not to mention it, but I think you already know. Sophia stared at the page, heart full. He's not trying to own it, is he? She asked. No, Marlene said. He just believes in it. In you. Sophia looked up. Then so do I. Later that evening, Liam waited outside a small cafe in Tribeca, nervously checking his watch. He didn't know if Sophia would show. Then he saw her, approaching in jeans, a gray wool coat, and the familiar spark in her eyes. Hey, she said, a half smile on her lips. He stood. You came. I did. He opened the door for her, and they slipped inside, finding a quiet booth in the corner. I went to Marlene this morning, she said, setting her purse down. She gave me the offer. Liam nodded slowly. I wasn't sure if she'd tell you it was me. She did. He waited, tension straining his jaw. I wasn't trying to interfere. I just wanted you to have the chance to do it your way. I know, she said softly. Silence stretched between them, but it wasn't uncomfortable. Then Sophia added, I'm going to take it, not because it's from you, but because it's mine to build, and because I'm finally ready. Liam's smile was quiet, proud. You always were. She looked at him, her voice gentle. And you're not just the guy behind the curtain anymore, Liam. I see you now. Not the CEO, not the fixer, just you. He swallowed hard. And do you still want that version of me? She reached across the table, sliding her hand into his. I do, she said, but only if we build forward, together, with everything on the table. He nodded, eyes locked with hers. Always. That same day, Claire was officially terminated from Elan. Word spread quickly. No applause, no sympathy. Just quiet acknowledgement that the weight she'd wielded had finally collapsed. Sophia didn't celebrate. She didn't need to. Because rising wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming the space she'd built with grace. And now, she had the platform, the voice, and the partner she never expected, but finally trusted. A week after the gala, the skyline shimmered under the warm hush of early evening as Sophia stepped into the shell of what would soon become her own boutique agency. The space was raw. Exposed brick walls, dusty hardwood floors, and high-arched windows that welcomed natural light. Nothing polished, nothing perfect. But that was the beauty of it. It was hers to build. Liam stood in the center of the room, sleeves rolled, examining a set of blueprints with Cam, who was already rattling off timelines and contractor details. When he spotted Sophia at the door, Liam excused himself and crossed the room with a smile that didn't assume anything. You made it, he said. Sophia stepped inside and looked around, the moment stretching like a held breath. You know, she said, when I was a kid, I used to imagine my future office would look just like this. Big windows, real floors, and a little espresso bar in the corner. Liam chuckled. We're halfway there. I already have someone scouting vintage machines. She laughed, and the sound was easy between them now. Earned. But as the laughter faded, something heavier settled between them. Sophia turned to him. Can I ask you something honest? Always, he said. When did you know that you felt something more than just wanting to help? Liam paused, thoughtful. That night at the gala, the first one, you didn't just care about making it perfect. You cared about what it meant to people. I saw the way you looked at the nervous pianist before she went on stage, how you whispered encouragement to the shy intern. That night, I realized you didn't just do events. You connected people to moments. And somewhere in that, I got connected to you. Sophia looked away, blinking quickly. I was scared, he added, not just of losing what we were building, but of you not seeing me without the layers. She turned back to him. But I see you now. He nodded slowly. And I'll spend as long as it takes proving that I see you, not the planner, not the success story, just Sophia. She exhaled, something softening in her shoulders. You already are. They moved to the back corner where a single wooden table sat, and Sophia pulled out a worn folder. I've been working on our first project, she said. It's a charity gala, same energy as Crestmore, but this time, we co-host. Liam's brows lifted. Co-host? I want you there. Not behind the curtain, not bailing me out in the background. I want people to know we built this together. He smiled, touched and surprised. Are you sure? She leaned in, voice firm. You said you'd earn your place. I say this is step one. They shook on it, and for a moment, it felt like the beginning of something far beyond business. Later that night, they walked to a nearby cafe that had just reopened for spring evenings. They sat on the patio, warm drinks in hand, the city humming around them. You know, Liam said, most stories like ours, they don't get a real second act. Sophia smirked. Maybe that's because most people don't slow down long enough to rebuild the foundation. Do you think we have? She looked at him, eyes clear. Not completely, but we're laying the bricks. He lifted his mug. To every scar, every silence, every risk worth taking. She clinked hers gently against his. To truth, loud, honest, and right on time. They sat in the glow of city lights, not rushing the moment. No longer hiding, not from the past, not from each other. The evening was warm with the faint breeze of early summer as guests filled the atrium of the newly restored Harlow Conservatory. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the skyline like artwork, and golden string lights shimmered above clusters of elegantly dressed attendees. Sophia stood at the entrance, clipboard in hand, wearing a satin navy gown with a low back and subtle sparkle. Her signature was in every detail, from the artfully arranged garden roses to the locally sourced menu to the live jazz trio playing under a skylight. But tonight, she wasn't just the planner. She was the host. And this wasn't just another event. It was the official launch of Haven and Hugh, her own boutique planning agency. Liam approached from the bar, dressed in a classic black suit with no tie, sleeves casually rolled to his elbows. He held out a glass of sparkling water with lime, just the way she liked it. You look like someone who just climbed a mountain, he said, grinning. She took the glass, smiling back. I feel like someone who did. Well, if you're taking in the view, I'd say it's spectacular. He wasn't looking at the skyline. Sophia gave a small, knowing laugh and glanced around. I've done so many of these for other people, launches, announcements, beginnings, but I never thought I'd be the one at the center of it. You're not at the center, he said, gently correcting. You're the foundation. Their eyes met, and for a beat the crowd faded into background music and flickering candlelight. Then Marlene appeared at Sophia's side, raising a glass in her direction. They're ready for your toast. Sophia turned to Liam, nerves suddenly returning. "You've done this 100 times," he reminded her, "but tonight, you get to speak as you, not behind anyone, not beneath anyone, just you." She nodded and stepped forward. The clinking of glasses quieted the room, and Sophia took the mic with both hands, grounding herself in the silence. "Thank you all for being here," she began, her voice steady. "Tonight is the result of more than just hard work. It's the result of falling, failing, rebuilding, and being brave enough to dream again." The room was still. "I've planned a lot of events in this city, but none more meaningful than this one, because this one is mine. Built on lessons learned, people who stood by me and faith that even when the path isn't clear, your purpose still is." She scanned the room until her eyes found Liam. "I want to thank every person who believed in me, and especially the one who saw me long before the world did." Her voice softened. "You showed up when I didn't even know I needed saving. But more than that, you stayed when I wasn't easy to stay for. You never asked for credit. You just made room for me to grow." Liam's jaw clenched slightly, emotion welling in his eyes. "I used to think success was about proving people wrong. Now I know it's about proving yourself right, about trusting your voice, and maybe, if you're lucky, finding someone who helps you hold on to it." The applause began slowly, then grew, wrapping the space in warmth. As Sophia stepped down, Liam met her halfway, pride and awe etched into every line of his face. She didn't wait. She leaned in and kissed him, gently, confidently, in front of everyone. No secrets, no saving for later, just truth. Applause erupted again, this time louder, some people smiling in surprise, others not surprised at all. They stood together, arms brushing, shoulders aligned. Not planner and investor, not CEO and protege. Just two people who had walked through fire, rebuilt from ashes, and chosen each other, again and again. Later, as the lights dimmed and the last guest exited, Sophia turned to Liam and whispered, "Ready for whatever comes next?" He squeezed her hand. "As long as it's with you." Together, they stepped into the night. No masks, no secrets, just a love finally free to be seen. Thank you for watching till the end. If this story touched your heart, made you think, or brought a tear to your eye, that's why we tell it. Stay with us for more powerful stories. See you next time.